Return now to our discussion. Welcome back. This week's discovery of 3 Israeli teens has further strained the relationship between the Israelis and Palestinians. We continue our discussion with Dan Arbell, a 25-year veteran of the Israeli Foreign Service, and from New York, columnist and senior diplomatic correspondent Raghida Dergham, who is with the London-based newspaper Al-Hayat. Welcome back to both of you. Dan, you want to respond to what Raghida was saying?
Yes, it's very unfortunate that Raghida is sliding into propaganda. Palestinians, unfortunately, have never missed an opportunity over the years. And really, this is not a time to wage a propaganda campaign. We're talking about very serious things here. Settlements have been part of the peace process for years. Under the Rabin government, under the Olmert government, Israel has reached, under the Barak government in Israel, Israeli governments went an extra mile to reach understandings with their Palestinian counterparts while settlements were being built. Settlements were not illegal, settlements were not an obstacle to peace. Settlements were always seen as an issue that would be part of a final status deal. Now, you can go on and on, talk about settlements, but settlements is not the issue here. The issue here is once these boys have been put to rest, this unfortunate, very regrettable, condemnable incident of the killing of the Palestinian boy, once tensions come down, I think there should be an attempt to go back to the negotiating table. Unfortunately, I have to say, I do not see the Israeli government at this point in time agreeing to any sort of negotiations with the Palestinians as when Hamas is part of the government.
All right, I want to get to that in a moment, but I know Raghida wants to respond to what you're saying.
It's really regrettable to say that building settlements is part of the peace process. It's so regrettable. Then it's really killing the peace process. I tell you, not even officials say that. I mean, it's really quite unforgivable to say, oh, we go on building settlements, illegal settlements, I want to say again, so that we can really have a peace process. Look, the contours of a peace deal are very clear. It is exactly, everybody knows what they are. There is no political will on the level of the Israeli government. I don't want to say the people, although I am critical of the Israeli people, because they have a democracy, because they can make their point very clear, because they can take their government to task, and they really should, because it is a good deal for them, what is being offered to them on the table. Secondly, I honestly think the Palestinian Authority is not going to go on doing the work for the Israelis in considering the Palestinian Authority just as an arm for the Israelis on the security level. Oh, they'll take care of the security commitment, but we'll go on building settlements. That's not going to
Okay, Raghida, let me ask you.
Long from now.
Raghida, let me ask you very quickly. You say there is a deal on the table. What is the basis of that deal? Is it what's always been there, 2 states, more or less according to the 67 borders?
Exactly. We memorize this by heart. But every time we get closer to it, then we have yet another Israeli excuse. Now maybe we will have, oh, we don't have a good negotiator. I honestly started to doubt if the Israelis want a 2-state solution. They may want a 1-state solution and get the Palestinians out of both the West Bank and probably out of the Israel proper. But the point is that honestly, we really need to push hard, because we shouldn't get to the point when we lose the peace process, but we can't go on endlessly saying we have a peace process, but we'll build settlements at the same time. That's not going to fly.
Okay, Dan, we've heard the proposal before, 2 states according to these, more or less according to the 67 boundaries. We have another situation which is developed now, which is the basically the unity government, Hamas and Fatah in the Palestinian Authority. Is that going to help or hinder the process?
Definitely will hinder. It's undermining the process as we speak.
But doesn't Israel want a more inclusive Palestinian negotiation?
Israel cannot sit down with a government or with negotiators who on the other side refuse to recognize Israel's right to exist, refuse to renounce terrorism, and refuse to abide by previous agreements. Hamas, an unchanged Hamas, is a detrimental blow to the peace process. With Hamas, it cannot go together. A peace process cannot take place when Hamas is in the Palestinian government. Unfortunately, I think that Mahmoud Abbas is in to weather the storm right now and wait for an opportune time to get rid of Hamas. But if he does not get rid of Hamas, I think very unfortunately the peace process will be put on hold further. I think that right now these recent events, the kidnapping, which Hamas masterminded, which was behind it, shows Hamas's true colors and definitely points to the fact that no sane Israeli government can sit down with Hamas. Can you imagine the United States sitting with Al-Qaeda for negotiations? I do not. And therefore, Hamas cannot be a part of the formula to advance negotiations.
Okay, I just want to get back to the other point that you made, and that is those are the challenges that face Mahmoud Abbas. Raghida, where does this leave Mahmoud Abbas right now? What is going on in Israel?
I tell you where it's going to leave him. They're going to push him by the sort of language we're hearing. They're going to push him to make very tough decisions. One thing, why the Israelis got crazy about the idea of having the Palestinian Authority, Palestine, recognized as a state by the United Nations, because then Palestine, the state, can go to the International Criminal Court and really put on trial something called occupation, because that is, according to international law, an act against human rights, an act against, there's responsibilities and there are violations. So if you want Israel on trial because of its occupation, rather than, like Rabin had said, we need to be a democracy, then we have to end occupation, then, we have a new ball game. Secondly, if Mahmoud Abbas decides to throw in the towel because finally he can't go on doing what the Israelis want him to do, to play his, his maid cleaning up security for Israelis only, I think he may just say, listen, take it. You be in charge of the West Bank. You be in charge. I'm not going to do the job for you, and I get nothing in return. I get nothing except threats and collaboration.
I want to say,
two options he has.
Mahmoud Abbas has demonstrated courage and leadership throughout this ordeal.
And he's being gratified like that?
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I think that Israelis, very wide sectors in Israel, have shown, have supported, have very much became supportive of his, are seeing him in a more positive light these days.
Right. But the danger right now is that we have a vacuum. They're not talking to each other.
I think that the Israelis and the Palestinian Authority are talking with one another. Definitely at the security level, there is cooperation. Definitely there is a dialogue between the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority, but not with the Hamas side. There is no discussion. There are no contacts. There's nothing going on between Israel and Hamas. And as long as Hamas is part of the picture, Israel will not be conducting any sort of negotiations with the Palestinian Authority.
Okay, Raghida, I'm going to give you the last word on this. What are the options that you now see on the table when it comes to resolving this conflict?
I think right now, again, this sort of escalation and emotional charging and incitement, actually, it has to stop. And if it doesn't stop, then we're going to have a much larger problem. I mean, again, just to have a peace process, that's not going to hold water much from now on. And I know the Israelis are quite comfortable now with Mahmoud Abbas. And I'm a big fan of Mahmoud Abbas. I'm not a fan of Hamas. But the Israelis have driven him against the wall. He can't deliver anymore to his own people, and he is being accused by his own people of not, doing right by them. And the Palestinian issue, the Israelis may be comfortable that it's off the table in the Arab mind for a long time because of what's happening in the Arab world. But you know what? Guess what? It will come very fast. It will come back very fast if this continues to go on.
Okay, and that's where we have to leave it. Thanks for joining with me here in the studio. Thank you.